Hi.
Hello. Just wait for Chris and then we'll.
I'm here.
Hello, Chris. Are we gonna see you?
You will. I'm just finishing dinner because I just got home from
Oh,
work.
okay.
So
All right.
Pat said he's not coming.
Have you heard from our friend Dave?
I think he just said in the group text that I sent out that he was gonna try.
Okay,
me-
we might want to tell him to use invite link. All right, I can put it on the text.
How would that link, that is so weird, because I delete the links and like copy and paste it.
Right, it must have stayed.
Yeah, who knows?
Um,
The weird thing is, so I always click on the links too to make sure that they're working.
right, and it did work.
Right, so I must have got the, you're in the town's waiting room type thing, so I just X'd out thinking it was the right one, so next time I'll have to double check that it's going to the right place.
If you
like you're cheating on us with another meeting.
if you hover over Karen, you can usually see the destination.
So I don't use the same, that doesn't do anything for me, because it doesn't, I'm not using the same program that you are. Like I'm hovering
Okay.
right now and there's nothing.
It does
So-
lead to a different number, like the Zoom link has
Yeah.
a different meeting number
So
associated
weird.
with it.
Okay, but the information on the
It's correct.
is correct.
The
Okay,
numbers are, if you copy the link, you can highlight the link and copy it, and it should take you there. Actually.
Yeah, I think we're all right.
all right. Are we ready?
Yep.
All right. In
Do we have,
accordance-
the only
Karen?
question I have, is there a way to inform others that might join us that the link is bad?
They would
Well-
just.
We don't have too many, like Jared, like, I don't know how to reach Jared about, like, Jared sometimes will join. He seems to be pretty consistent.
Okay. Karen will have his information.
And are we expecting anyone from,
You're not.
okay,
I
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I know.
facilities director, or anything that way?
I have a written update from him.
Okay, all right.
And the public access is showing the conservation meeting, so. All right, in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access channel and will be uploaded to Lunenburg Access YouTube channel later on. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer using a browser, please go to www.zoom.com and click join. When prompted, please enter the meeting ID 909-174-0347. For telephone, dial toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter webinar ID 909-174-0347. If you have not registered with Zoom, you'll be asked for your name and email address. Note, no participant ID is needed. Just press pound when asked. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. The agenda lists all the topics in which may be discussed at the meeting and those that were reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of this discussion. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up to discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting. With that, we're open. All right, so let's bring up. On my tabs. I just have a minute of them. Okay, approval of minutes. I know, Karen, you put something there. I did not have time to read today. I would vote if you and Chris have read.
I read, but I'm fine holding it. I didn't upload it till late because I didn't get it till late yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
The title of the document in the meeting folder is wrong.
The title, of what?
It says
what?
November 20, it says November 26 minutes, I think.
Okay, hold on, let me get it. Oh, that, I can change that easy. That part doesn't matter. It's the contents of the, I see what you mean.
I look through, they look fine to me, but if we need to table them for now.
They looked fine to me too.
I mean,
Um,
if they look fine. I
So
trust
I'll
you
make a
guys.
motion to accept the minutes of October 26, 2022.
Second,
I said, okay, all those in favor, Karen,
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And an aye for myself, and the minutes are approved.
Great. I'll send them over right now to the town.
Okay. So, Paul could not join us today, and he actually has resigned from his position. And I don't know if you knew that, Chris. I was informed recently, and he sent me an update, a written update, so I would like to read that if that's okay with everybody.
Yep.
So for Walla, Catherine, estimated timeline and cost phase, he had talked with her he asking for the timeline and the cost phase, and he did not hear back from her, sent 3 emails. He will continue to follow up prior to his departure, and the town manager will follow up with her after he leaves. Landscaping at the parks, letter sent to the vendor outlining issues and requested for corrective action by 11/20. He attempted to contact him directly with no response. Town manager is advised and will follow up. Veterans Park was cleaned and prepped for Veterans Day. I did stop there, and then they did a really nice job. They laid up new fresh mulch, cleared off the overgrown areas on the sides. Chris, do you remember the front where there was some yard waste in between the properties? They cleaned that all up.
oh, nice,
So,
good.
yeah, so it was a very nice touch to have that cleaned and ready for Veterans Day last week. The bench repair for Veterans Park, he said that we can actually suggested us to request via Monty Tech via their webpage. And he said their work is excellent. Now that's on the agenda, Chris, for later on, and we can discuss that more at length. New England Recreation, he asked them to look at the basketball court by Wayland. They toured the parks and they will give us quotes. Quotes have been received and sent to town manager. I will follow up with town manager about that and see what they have. Because I'm not sure where we are with the budget this year for parks, so it might be something that we might be able to add to this year. I don't know the cost either. Wayland Marshall Pond. Wayland Marshall Pond, weed control testing completed and waiting for formal bid and scope of work. The formal bid should be submitted by 11:30. Town manager advised and given all contact information. It's pretty amazing how Paul was here just for a few months and he moved he did a lot. McNally Park, abatement complete, stairs removed, demo the building is going to be 4,300. Will be completed prior to its being spring. Power and water is scheduled for to be disconnected. Requisition for funding is approved. Town manager advised and will give contact information. Beach house bid back will go out for bid again in January, and it will be pulled from operational budget. Part of that bid is the person, whoever bids, they need to come and do a site tour. So that he said that kind of helps weed out people that just submit bids not knowing what the scope of work is. For the rec director, they received 4 resumes. Interviews were scheduled. This process is going to be with the HR director And I believe it may need to be reposted as the best candidates were not interested in the part-time work. Assistant manager should follow up. The bids for Marshall Park survey were awarded to Deals and Royce for $18,900. The backstop net is still in place. A lift rental is double the cost of replacing the net. Chief Sullivan will be contacted to possibly remove the net, if able, based on conditions of the grass. Town manager advised. Any questions on those?
Is there a timeline on the survey?
For
For
Deals and
Marshall?
Royce, it will
Yeah.
start in January.
Okay.
Actually, I did talk with Greg, and he did say it's best to do in the winter when the vegetation is down.
Yeah, probably easier
So
to navigate.
Yeah, so that was probably his suggestion more than anything.
Do they take the net for the backstop there? They take the net down, or they just kind of slide it all over to one side and condense it, right?
Say that
I
again?
think the net, you're saying they're gonna take the net down, but I don't think they take it down. Don't they just slide it? They just
Yeah, but I
slide it
think-
over and kind of condense it and push it all back so it doesn't catch. They don't want it to catch the snow all winter.
Right. I
I
think
don't think they take it down though.
I don't think but I don't, the way it sounds like you would need to get a lift or something to go that high. I think that's the issue. All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
So what's the next step with the facility? So we're back under Bill at this point then, for now? Or
What Heather
according to
told
Bill,
me,
or how are we?
yeah, so what Heather told me is that she's Billy's pretty busy. He has some big projects. So she's going to look into the original pool of candidates, see if she wants to pull anyone from that. The job is posted. For now, we are under her.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw Bill yesterday and he said that he did offer, but she said no. And I think she was just thinking of him being busy. It's the reality. For updates from us, so I talked with Patrick. He is a parent, Farity, I think is the last name. He's a parent, and Chris met with him as well at the CP gym. We seem to be all set to launch a winter soccer program for grades 3rd and 4th. I'm gonna work with him on getting the equipment he needs, and the gym is all set, so he seems pretty pumped. I don't think we're gonna have any issues. And that's probably gonna go live in the beginning of January. So I'm gonna try to get everything ready for early December for registrations. The age-friendly survey went out. According to the people that are putting the survey together, we already had 120 responses, and on less than 1 day, which is wonderful. The town manager posted on our post on the town Facebook page. I'll probably share that with a few different groups. It'll be good to get that information, and if we get certified, that's going to help us. The other thing, and this is just for future, I kind of want to just bring it up. Unfortunately, we lost our facilities director. I did feel like Paula was doing a good job, but it was our goal to work on a 5, 10-year plan for parks. So we'll probably over the next, several months kind of have that come up in meetings. And I think we can just start with a list of, our wish list, and then we can prioritize together. Then we can start putting numbers on them. So probably expect that for December or January. And another thing that I'm going to explore, I'm probably going to talk with town manager to see how she feels about this, is Do we all remember that playground next to McNally that we didn't want on the playground? What was the name of that, Karen?
Well, it didn't have a name on it. It's for the Whalum Luxury Apartments.
Yeah, so I don't, the playground, which I have looked, it's as good as little typed plastic things. But I was wondering if maybe they would donate the land to us. Since we are looking to maybe do a work at McNally, that would add a nice piece to, adjacent to the property. It kind of will probably give us more option on what to do with the park. So I was gonna talk with the town manager, see if she has any objections to that. But I also wanted to bring to everybody's attention to see if you guys have any thoughts. I haven't taken any action. I didn't want to make an item on the agenda because I wasn't sure how to proceed. So that's why I need to talk with her, but that was, that's kind of what I had.
My
And
only
I th-
feedback on that, Anna, is the playground that was there. That was the sole reason why we didn't take that property. Because that was originally an article. It wasn't a Parks Commission article. It wasn't directly with us. It was actually a ZBA article, so we couldn't
Right.
make any changes. Like, we couldn't change the guidelines, but we told them what our expectation was, which was to have that be inspected, and obviously pass the inspection. And it wasn't done. We couldn't certify any of the, like, they sent something over and we couldn't even certify it as being a legitimate document. So that would be my only concern, is that, and it's not a very big playground. It might be easy enough to go in and either bring it up to compliance or actually move that piece of equipment somewhere else. But that's my only.
Yeah, I think for them, if we're doing anything in McNally, and that will be, in addition to, because it's right next to their property, that will enhance the lives of people living on that property, they might be interested in donating the land. And my thought was to say, you gotta take the playground away, because like you said, it's not we can't have that for liability. But if we say,
I don't think they'd probably want to spend any money in removing anything in order, if they're planning on, donating it to us. But again, I don't think it's a very difficult piece to remove. Is it still just that one structure? It's the,
yeah.
Yeah.
But for us, I'm thinking for us, like, it does add a nice piece to the McNally property.
no, I don't disagree. And in
So, I
hindsight,
mean,
probably should have investigated that, but we didn't have the active commission that we have now with, more experience. So.
yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. So that's all I had for my update.
I do, and I know I talked to you at some point about this. I have printed all of our minutes from 2014 through now, anything that was available online. Because some of them aren't just not in order. I don't find how the town is doing their minutes and to be helpful, like to be able to go back and look at approved minutes. I just don't find it easy. So I have printed all of them. I have gone through and I've highlighted motions other than the approval of minutes and adjournment, because we don't really need minutes or minutes. So I've gone through and I've used that to start compiling a spreadsheet of all of the policies that are not policies, all of the motions that we have made and passed. So we can have one spreadsheet of them, and I've sort of classified them as what, are they Marshall Park? Are they general parks? Are they beach? Are they skate park? Is it, I've sort of like gone all the way down so that it'll be easily sorted when we want to sort it. So I reached out to Pat today because I mean, it's a pretty significant binder of paperwork at this point. I would like to have another set of eyes to go through and make sure that I caught all the motions and documented them properly. So I did reach out to Pat today to see if that's something that he could be my backup eyes for, and he said it was. He said sure when I asked him. So my
that's good.
plan is to I've got a I think I have 1 year in there that I haven't done yet, and that was, ooh, that's bright. And that was because it just printed funny and I needed to reprint. So once I get that done, I'm gonna go to town hall. I'm gonna photocopy the binder. Because right now, I would like to have a copy for myself. If anybody else wants a copy, let me know. I'll do it for you at the same time that I make the photocopy. I thought I would actually give whoever comes in as our facilities director a copy so that he can hand it off, he or she can hand it off to whoever our new rec director is. I find it easier to have it in
We
chronological.
both have copies.
Yeah, so you might
Yeah.
want a two copies.
Copies of one for
them.
one for the facilities director and one for.
I can do that. Do you guys
Is it
want to?
beneficial for Bill at all? Like just from a, or is he not?
Yeah, he's
think
telling
so.
me.
I don't think it's beneficial just because there's really nothing in there that I think he would need to know because he's not doing any of our facilities anymore. And I would think he'd reach out to the new facilities person anyway.
I'll take a copy. Are you planning to, we had at some point talked about organizing it digitally. Oh, God. I guess in the end of the day, I can't speak.
Minutes.
Yeah, no, not the minutes, but motions that affect the use of the parks. So for example, beach rental or the price of, admission at the beach, that type of stuff. So because if you're a user of the parks.
I have it digitally. I have it on a spreadsheet.
Oh, okay.
And my plan is to just continue to update it as our meetings go along so that it's all right there. So like we could look at it, we could sort the table by beach and we could see all the motions that we've made about the beach, including what we charged,
Okay.
every year going forward. And my thought is that we could, if we could do some sort of view only document, we could actually put that on MyRac or the town site or something so that all of our motions are viewable in one spot. I thought that might.
That's a good idea.
Because I also have the meeting date in there. So, if somebody wanted to, look up and say, oh, the Parks Commission had a motion on this, and they were looking through it, they could then go back to the full set of minutes if they were looking to find it. The other thing is I will try to get to this in the next few weeks, but I want to verify that all of our paperwork is actually on the MyRec page. Because I know that either Kayla or Rob had uploaded some of our user forms and that, but we also have a beach user form and I want to make sure that that's actually, that's all on there. So I just don't want to lose anything. And, if my computer ever crashed, I don't back up. So if my computer crashes, I've lost it all and I don't really want to.
No, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that sounds, I like both ideas of having a hard copy and having, a digital file that's accessible to the public. It would be much easier.
Yeah.
Chris, do you have any comments or updates?
I think I'm fine with digital. Like if it's accessible, I don't
Okay.
think digital would be fine. I think. But certainly helpful to have it all and dated that way would be great. So people can
Yeah. And I'll
reference the meeting. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Once
Yeah,
it's
really
all, once it's all done. I've been working on it for a bit. I had gotten some good momentum and like earlier in the spring, and then I got sick and I didn't go back to it. And then I picked it up again late summer. And it's like I started and then I don't know. And nothing is in order on the, no, I shouldn't say nothing. There's some stuff in order on the town page, but some of it's completely out of order and it doesn't make any sense, the order that it's in. And then other meetings, it's duplicate. You'll have, minutes uploaded twice for the same meeting, but they're not next to each other or above each other on the list. So, I'd click on it and I'm like, this is ridiculous. So that's when I finally said, I'm just printing it. And I've probably used 5 cartridges of ink so far, but whatever. And as, just so everybody knows, because before COVID, our minutes ran anywhere from 1.5 pages to 2 pages. Our minutes after COVID run 4 to 6 pages. So,
Definitely. All right, okay, next item on the agenda. I had initially talked with the LBA, the Lunenburg Business Association, about maybe having them join our meeting. It couldn't make it. It was kind of last minute, but they asked if I could join them for coffee. So I don't know if you all noticed, but they have been doing quite a few, not quite a few, but they have been doing events around town that supports different organizations in town. They did do I think one of the latest one there was a golf tournament to benefit the teen
Boys and
center.
Girls Club. Yeah.
And they also led the trunk or treat this year. And this conversation came up on the Economic Development Commission, that I am the open space representative to that commission. And and there is a real opportunity to work together to make the events even bigger and more, and that would benefit parks and them and the organizations they're supporting. So that was kind of the goal of the conversation. So I'll have an informal conversation with them with coffee. I never met the president, but that's, I see it in a lot of towns where the Parks Commission or the Parks and Recreation Department, they work with other organizations. They don't have to do everything. But if we are part of it, we can facilitate certain parts of the events that would make it easier for them to get it done. We can use our, power to be a town, part of the town government and help share the information around. So that's the goal. It'll be interesting. And I think this is the kind of thing we should be doing more and more. So yeah, unfortunately, they're not here. Any comments on that?
Nope. I think it's a good idea.
All right.
Yeah, they're pretty active. I know they have regular meetings. I think I've noticed them at like happy hours at Bad Larry's.
Yeah.
So like they have some different, they're pretty active. So
When they they were supposed to let me know when they have time for this coffee, I can send a quick email out. And if one person wants to join me, it's not technically a meeting, I'll be happy to. It doesn't have to be me alone. I think as long as we are only 2, we stay clear of open meeting. But even though that is the thing, that as long as you don't deliberate or discuss anything, it's just much easier to put you through and not have that issue. All right, town meeting article discussion. So what'd you guys think?
I was very
pleased.
happy.
There wasn't a lot of discussion, which is great. I think it's a testament to the fact that I think the town supports what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we
I
got
expected
80
more discussion. Truthfully, I thought there would be more discussion.
Yeah.
I think the select board has stood by their support, which is great. Finance committee supporting it. Yeah, not a lot of discussion and pretty overwhelming in favor of, I think it was about 75%, I think, or
I
so about
counted 85.
80%, about 80, 85%, I think, actually, yeah.
Not that I was doing the math on it.
Yeah, it was a 124 to 24 or something like that. Close.
Yeah.
No, I'd like to talk to I truthfully would like to hear from the 24 that were there that have concerns, and making sure that we're listening to them as well, I guess. Just curious as to what their thoughts are. But I think it's great to see overall that there's overwhelming support for the park and what it can mean to the center of town. it was interesting to hear Mr. Rogers speak about the gentleman whose business is named Marshall
Park.
Inc. Like that's intriguing to me. You know, something I'd like maybe we keep on our radar.
Yeah.
As things go along, it'd be great to kind of loop him in a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm curious if he's seen the master plan or that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it was nice. And, you know, and Mr. Rogers, he's not one to like to spend money, and I appreciate that. I don't like spending money in vain either. His support was fairly meaningful to me. It's not easy to sell him on anything. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, I was pleased. How about you, Karen?
No, I was very pleased with it. I think that the comments afterwards, I think were actually, they were very complimentary. And I had gotten some feedback via text during the meeting from people that were there. So I think that.
What did they say?
Let's see, we had somebody say that we did a great job with the presentation. They were happy that we answered their questions without them having to ask. Afterwards, Betty McDonald said that we should be renamed. I can't say it on a recording, but we should be renamed because we're getting a lot of stuff done and we're getting it done in a timely manner. So that was good. There was some feedback on Facebook on Chris's post, I think, from one of residents that thanked us for involving the community in, you know, taking their input and encouraging people. So I've been very happy with the community involvement. So I was glad to see people there last night. I know that I had mentioned this to Anna earlier. It still concerns me that there's the T-ball stuff floating around. I don't know if they don't believe us that we're going to come up with a plan and we're not going to just leave T-ball high and dry. You know, so I would love to be able to figure out a way to get that resolved. And I think that we're going to be faced with feedback on T-ball until we can come up with a plan on that, because that's just the nature of the beast. It's, you know, but I think it's going to be more than just, I don't think we should sit here and say, we're going to move it here. And, you know, like we would obviously investigate where we're going to move it to. I think it's more than just finding the space and moving it. I think it's going to involve some conversations with the stakeholders. I think that we need to really look at numbers to make sure we have the proper number of fields for their program. And, you know, if we have opportunities to consolidate something, I think that needs to be considered. So I think that having conversations over the next couple of months are going to be important to try to get some of that, to get some of those concerns resolved for people. And then I think for, you know, moving into the next phase, I think keeping the engagement that we have had thus far, so that we have that community input, because it's their park, it's the community's park. So yeah, that's just sort of my off the cuff thoughts.
Yeah, you know, overall, I know there's some people that I think I know there will be residents that, you know, wanted to see something finalized and done with regarding the T-ball and how we're gonna have everything. And I think, you know, some people by nature are that way. They want to see it so they know it exists, and they're that's the only way that their concern is going to go away. But overall, I honestly feel that the town trusts that we are going to do the right thing. Because yes, we did hear from one person yesterday. There were 150 people there. And when we said we are going to take care of T-ball, we didn't get a lot of people getting up and saying, no, but what is happening? So overall, I do think the community trusts us. And I think they trust us because of how we have conducted everything so far. It's the reality. You know, we have like how many iterations of the Marshall Park conceptual design did we have? Many. And we went back and forth, and now we are going in, asking for more details. And the other thing too, that I think, I did mention yesterday, like as regards to the baseball, this renovation will be an improvement for the high school. But the reality is this whole renovation is a big improvement for baseball altogether in big ways. There will be bathrooms, there will be a pavilion with, that has a snack shack that complies with health regulations. There'll be parking. There'll be an updated softball field, which the one that we have there is not a great one. And so it's interesting because if those items alone, if we would have to go to the town and say, we need about $3 million to better Marshall Park for baseball, we wouldn't get that money. We have told the town what is the target cost for Marshall Park. And we had Mr. Dave Rogers saying, we'll figure it out how to do this. That's because they like the project. If we were to have gone back and said, this is all we're doing, we're making the baseball program better, that would be a lot of money for the town to invest on one program only. That's one of the reasons that it's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons that we have made Marshall Park project more than just baseball. And at the end, I actually think that, the group of users that will benefit the most are the baseball users. Without a doubt, we're adding some uses, but the heavy use, most of the space will be baseball.
Yeah, it's still the majority. If you look at the percentage of land use, that's a pretty
Right.
significant portion of the land. I'm frustrated. I'm definitely still frustrated with the kind of the T-ball discussion a little bit. That's why I tried to say it again last night, that we've already been on record as saying that we're not going to remove that before we, and just drop the basketball and pickleball courts in there without a plan. At the same time, I think, I'd like to look at surrounding towns, I guess, and how many surrounding towns have a designated, field for each appropriate age level. I think it's a nice feature for the town, and it's a credit to the town for the commitment to that program. And this is certainly me, not me advocating to just remove it. I mean, obviously it's an integral part of growing that program and continue to making sure that baseball remains strong in town. But the continued line of questioning, I guess I don't understand, because I feel like we've addressed that well. So that piece is strange, and I don't know. I have to go back and listen to his name again, and maybe try and figure out what I wasn't following the line of questioning. It just didn't. It felt like there was an ulterior motive there. I guess.
I don't think there was an ulterior motive.
The same question kept getting asked, and we kept giving
it did, because
the answer, and I just wasn't sure where we were trying to get to. I guess I shouldn't say ulterior motive. I guess I should say I wasn't quite sure where we were. Where were we going with that?
I think he might have been relatively new to the conversation of that. I don't know how much he's followed.
He didn't look familiar, so
yeah. So I actually know who he is. So because I figured it out this morning when I realized I didn't catch his last name correctly. So I agree. I absolutely agree with you, Chris. And I don't know the direction of some of these questions anyway from people, because if we're not engaging with them in conversation, we don't know the angle that they're going for to try to get their answers. I'm just more concerned that they're a large group of people. I mean, not huge, but it's the Little League, and they're watching out for themselves, which is completely appropriate. And they want what's best for their program. And maybe they haven't come to the conclusion yet that we can meet halfway and figure this out together. I'm just more concerned that there could be a group of people that are so against the fact that that the T-ball field is gonna leave this park, that they're gonna, so I don't want to use the word revolt because that's not the right word, but they will group together to, come to more of our meetings. And I just don't want it dominated by the T-ball questions of where this field's gonna go. And just answer them with the same thing that we already have, because obviously that's our plan. What we're putting forward, what we believe to be true, and how we plan, to deal with this. I just don't want that to happen. And I don't want the same questions over and over again regarding the T-ball field. So I'm just thinking at some point in the closer future than waiting, 6 months out, is to start having some conversations, so that nothing is rushed. The, decisions can be made, starting at the entry point of just conversation with some of these stakeholders, but more driven by us, more like, we want information from you. What size is your program? What size are your divisions? How many teams do you have? What's your expectation for the minimum number of practices a week? What's your expectation for the minimum number of games a week? So we can actually start playing with numbers. And like you said, Chris, I'm interested to see what other towns do. And I have started to look them up, and
So-
I guess I should make a list and have that.
So first of all, I am not worried, because out of 150 people there, we had one person, and Karen, as you pointed out, he might be new, he's new to the conversation. He's not part of the Little League. I actually don't think the Little League is displeased with what we have said. Because if they would be there. So I think they see that it's a loss of a field within the plan. They want to know where it was. And I am not worried. I think we have shown to deliver what we say. And just as deliberate and mindful and diligent we have been with Marshall Park, we are going to be with everything we do. And because we get to answer to everybody. And at the end of the day, we get to propose a plan that will pass town meeting. And that's what we all have to remember. We got to get together, and that's what we need to do, So, but I'm definitely not worried, because I don't think if we were to be worried, I would be worried if there was resistance yesterday, and there was none, to be honest. One person who's new to the conversation, as far as we.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that was resistance. Like I like he was asking, like, I'm that's why I think it's gonna be important to have those continued conversations. I still see, I know folks that are involved with baseball, and I still see the questions, and I'm seeing it in the survey results of, like, we still need to resolve, the T-ball field and things. So.
And we will, and
I
I
think
think
we just
people
continue
know
with that message that we have, and we are invested in the program. And I mean, we can look at Parksland overall, and 90% of Parksland has a baseball field on it, or a softball field. So I think we're obviously committed to that program, but I think it's important for us to look forward and diversify and really utilize Marshall to its fullest potential. So
I think that's good. Okay. So
what is our next step with that anyway? Like, so at this point we need to.
So I'm going to.
Like an RFP again, right? I mean, that's kind of where we're.
Right. So
headed.
My plan is to, like I mentioned, I want to meet with the town manager, and I'm sure, just coming out of a town meeting, she's pretty busy. But I'm gonna send her an email, and I'm gonna try to get in touch with her and create a plan, an action plan around it. Because I know the last time there was a little bit of back and forth of who creates the RFP and so forth. So I just want to have a plan set before we start trying to do anything. And she probably also knows about, the timeline of some of these things when it's vast, which it kind of goes into the next conversation too, next item on the agenda, which is grants. our whole presentation yesterday was how we want to apply for these grants. And the reality is, we, at the end of the day, I do believe that we need the executive body to sign off on the applications. I don't know, because Parks is sort of independent, they own the land. So I don't know about that, but I do need to get in touch with,
Verification on that, yeah.
yeah. So we need to come up with a plan on the grants applications that we said. I did send an email out with how to sign up for an introduction over Zoom. I don't know if everybody got that.
Yeah, I can see it. It's like a Tuesday and a Thursday. Wish they would do
Yeah.
it like Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Chris, did you see
The
that?
land and water,
Yeah,
the land and water grant.
yeah. So I'm gonna sign up for that. I did give that information to Heather too. So, you know, my question with this agenda item is, do we envision ourselves participating in trying to get some of these done? And I think we did for everything we have said. So I just want to touch base with you all and make sure that we are on board when I go talk with the town manager and say, hey, these grants that we talked about it, how can we do this together? But I don't want to say, how can we do this together before I ask you all, are we doing this together?
No, I think it's
No.
gonna take an effort from everybody to,
And if it comes back to us doing it on it, like if she wants us to do the writing and then she reviews it and signs off on it, that's fine. I think that if that ends up being the case, I don't know how many of us have experience writing grants. I don't. I think I would probably dig deep into some of the residents in the area that do have experience with it and see if we could, you know, solicit some assistance from them.
support.
Yeah, in getting it done, even just to have another set of eyes before we submit anything.
Do you know
I
names?
do, so I'm, Lisa Cohen comes to mind for me. But I'm not 100% sure she has grant experience, but I wanted to check in with her and ask if she did. You know, I think that Brandon Kibbe and Paula Bertram would step up to do some help. Bob Pease has experience with grants because he secured the grants for conservation. And I think he did the writing of those. So I think that we have some resonance around. You know, I feel like a lot of the people that apply for grants work for nonprofits. So, and I do have some other friends that work in that industry. So I thought I'd sort of tap into the resources of folks that we all may know to be able to, you know, make sure that it's done correctly.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's just we don't have to do it that way. It was just a thought that.
No, I think that's a great idea. And, you know, and one thing I know a little bit about is that usually the narrative tends to be the same. You just gotta make the case a little bit for the specifics requirements of the grant. So, you know, similar to for the ADA one, you know, we gotta prove that what we are doing meets the highest level of the ADA compliance. So I think, you know, everything we would say still there, we just need to then change the narrative a little bit about that. But okay, so we are, as a group, we are invested on helping getting these done.
Yep,
It's
and
my
I'm
question.
assuming that we are, if we see other grants that we want to consider, we should also, you know, be adding them to that list and filling out
Yep.
the forms. Okay.
Yeah, I did add some others. I have learned of another one through Heather as well. Dave mentioned a couple I added there. The two big ones, the three big ones, four big ones is really the land and water, park, the ADA, and the dog park. The dog park is our dog park came about $100,000. They offer up to 225 with a 10% match. So that's pretty good. So those are the ones that I think we would focus, the most and to begin. Okay, I'll talk with Heather and I'll say that we're invested in helping, and how does she envision that happening? Any other comments on that, Chris?
No, I think that's good. Again, I think it's gonna take everybody to be involved in it.
Okay, appreciate that.
So I think, that's what we've talked about. That's what we all need to commit to.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're going fast in this agenda despite having 15 items. Chris, how's the Marshall Park engineering survey going?
We have 20 responses as of this moment.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good, right?
So not bad for a short period of time. I think it's a little bit of a different survey. There's now a plan in place, so I guess I envision that participation in this particular survey would drop some, because there's already a plan in place. So it's really just asking kind of what's useful.
Right.
We're not asking for, what do you want to see in the park at this point? But I think favorable over overall. 75% of the people had said they've done the survey, has said that they have seen the master plan before taking the survey.
Did you post it on all the sites, Chris, or I
think I got it on all the sites. I did 4 or 5 different Lunenburg pages.
Okay.
It's not on the town website yet. I do have to get it on the town website. But it is
Aaron
on.
can do that, right?
Well, I can put it on our section of the town website, like our front page of the town website. So like if you went to lunenburgma.gov and then clicked to the Parks and Recreation or the Parks Commission page there, I can put it there, but I don't know. I mean, you'd have to be going looking for it. It should probably be a little more front and center.
Okay, I'm helping Heather because I was in the meeting with the Age Friendly. I'm helping distribute some of that. I was going to add the Marshall Park. So the things that I can do, I actually wrote it down whenever I find my notes, is here. So I'm going to ask to be added to the Park and Rec Facebook page. I was going to ask the school to send it on their email. I did ask Sue from the senior center to send it to her to share as well. And I was actually going to make a little flyer with a QR code and leave it there so people can do it at home.
I can send it to the superintendent if you want. I
Okay.
think we did that in the past with the other survey. I think we did send it to the superintendent, so I can definitely send that.
Okay, that'd be great. And then I was thinking too about asking Michelle if she could share that and send it. Can you take the lead on both of those, Chris?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then Heather is authorized paying an advertisement at the Ledger for the Age Friendly. I was going to ask her if we can also advertise ours with the Ledger. So that's on my list of things to ask her. But 20 answers, like just being out there for a couple of days, pretty good.
One thing that I'm wondering if we could consider doing, and the town does have this ability through their website, but we could sort of manage our own, is it would be nice to start compiling email addresses of folks that want to be kept up to date on on Marshall Park and, you know, our meetings and whatnot. I know that if you were logged into the town page, when various sections are updated, you can subscribe to get updates on those page. I don't know if, I think people have to actually go and join the page though, and it's a little bit more work than say entering an email address, but it would be nice to be able to let a bulk of people know that want to know that I've requested to be on this list. You know, when meetings are or things like that, especially with like winter coming up. I don't know when we expect the engineering phase to start, but it would be nice to have something so that if you know, we had a snow situation and we had to postpone a meeting, that yes, we would post it on the town website as we're required to and all the other stuff, but you know, we could send out a quick email as well to those people who are subscribed to that page. I don't know, just
Yeah.
trying to keep people engaged in,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No.
That's a big thing. I don't know if they'll have a way to do that. Whenever it's, you know, any change in technology, especially government, makes things a little more difficult. Okay, so, all right, so we'll have a plan. Chris will send it to the school and to Michelle, and I'll create a flyer and I'll see if I can get the, I'll ask Heather to share it through the town page. And I'll see if we can publish on the ledger, and I'll create a little QR code for it. Okay. So Chris, this was something you had mentioned that you're gonna reach out to the, so the next item that during the agenda is Veterans Memorial Park benches repair update. You are going to reach out to Boy Scouts. Did you?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything back from the Scoutmaster yet, so I had to follow up again, but I know the last meeting we said kind of hold on that for a minute anyway. You had mentioned there was another family that had,
So we have a family that would like to donate the material for a couple of the benches that it's named after this gentleman's mom and grandfather, but he doesn't have way to do the labor. So
Okay.
that's so.
I guess we'd have to kind of talk through that more. I don't know that, like, I think we're talking about Boy Scouts staining the benches. Like, I think we're okay there. I'm not sure that they're adept at completely dismantling benches and reassembling with new material.
Yeah,
I
I'm
guess
not sure
we
if
kind of
we
have to
need
sift through that a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah,
Because I think we'd want some uniformity there too, I would suspect. So that we're not having two benches that are, you know, of a new composite material and
right.
two other benches that are stained and.
You know, the wood on none of well, so I guess my first question is this Boy Scouts interested in doing any work there as part of something? Because if they say yay or nay, if they say yay, we can then work through some of those details. If they say, well, we are kind of busy, because this will probably happen in the spring.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a spring, it would be a spring
Right.
project. So I'll follow up with them again. I'll see one of the guys that I know that's involved with the troop.
Okay.
Who had given me the Scoutmaster's information. So I'll follow up with both
Yeah,
of them.
so if they say we're interested in maybe helping, or, you know, we already have a lot of projects, then we know to move on to another way, trying to figure out another way. But if they say, yeah, we're interested, then working out the details become, you know, easier part, I think. Okay. All right, so here comes my fun one. 51 Parliament Road discussion. So I wish Dave was here. He has feelings about it. Chris, do you know which property is this one?
That's the one down on Lake Shirley, right?
it is. Anna, why don't I go grab
That corner property there, kind of
Oh,
wedged in there, I think, right?
yeah, I have, if you want to let me share, Karen, I can.
Yeah, do you have the, okay, let me.
I do have the, the access.
You should be
Yeah.
able to. You can't share?
No, it says host disabled screen participation.
How do I change it? Advanced sharing options. Let's see. All participants. All right, go for it.
So,
Can you change the layer on that so we can actually see like what it looks like as well, and like what the area looks like, the overview? Do you remember how to do?
well, which overview do you
Like
want to
a-
have?
Like I want to, right there, the top one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, so the Open Space Committee, commission or committee, I don't know. The Open Space people, which I'm part of it. We've been talking already for a while on access to Lake Shirley. Now, before I start talking about that, I want to Stump Cove is, do you know where the location of that is, Karen?
I do.
Is it here?
I
I think it's
yep,
here.
yep. Yes, ma'am.
Is it here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So-
right off of here. Yeah.
Okay, so in the late 80s, the story goes like this. In the late 80s, the dam on Lake Shirley needed complete replacement. And the state paid for it with the stipulation that there would be public access to Lake Shirley. And part of that, and they have dug out, they found the town meeting warrant, was that this piece of land here, the Stump Cove, would be donated to the town. And I think this is, it's this property here. It's not allowing me. Oh, I think it clicks much slower when it has layers.
You can take it off. I just like looking it. I just think it gives a better idea of where everything is. You can
Okay.
take it off, though.
So what happened then was the town sort of received this property during town meeting and they never took any action. I want to maybe zoom in. So now the open space is looking at a ways to have access to Lake Shirley, and we are investigating this property. And we have another property, which is the 51 Parmenter Road on Lake Shirley. I'm gonna try to zoom in again. So and I believe then it will be this one. Let's see. No. So where they are with the discussion on the Stump Cove is that we have authorized up to $2,000 in expense for a title search on Stump Cove. And that will kind of give us the initial assessment. Is this a title easy to clear or not? There's a big dispute. It's not clear who owns Lake Shirley. It's a big problem that happened. It's a whole thing there. And when I have brought up the Parmenter Road, because Karen had mentioned about that, they had said to me that the property itself is not an ideal property for a car top type of boat because of the slope. So that's why they're investigating the Stump Cove first. So what I did about a month ago was I visit Stump Cove and I also visit 51 Parmenter Road. And in Stump Cove, I think in some points of the year we'll probably have water that you can access. I lost it, Karen. Is it here? No. No, it's not here.
You're looking for Stump. So I have a hard time looking at this.
Is it just before or after Reservoir? I mean, Flat Hill.
Not Flat Hill, Goodrich.
Oh, Goodrich?
Yeah, it's down.
Okay, here's Goodrich.
You know where that funky, right, see where that down right here, 46?
The
See
12,
46, Anna?
Uh-huh.
I believe it's right up in here.
I think
12.
it's 12.
By the way,
Yeah,
I'm
this is-
moving my mouse like you can see me.
Yeah, so it's this property here. So I checked this out and I'm not sure the people that were in open space have talked about putting a dock that goes out that then you can drop a boat, a canoe or a kayak. I'm not sure it will be a very easy in and out. It does have problems with parking as well. And it did not seem like an easy water access when I was there. And I'll put this again. It's very thick in here. No wonder it's called Stump Cove, right? So then I went to visit 51 Parmenter Road, and I think the property is perfect. It has a very, it has a slope. It doesn't have it has a slope, but it doesn't have a big decline. It does not have like a big drop. It doesn't, the slope would be almost make it perfect. Like if you have a small trailer with, like if you have a small rowboat that you don't necessarily carry, you need, a little trailer like the one I have in my house. It would be perfect for building a little ramp because you would need to do very little moving of dirt on this property. The other thing I liked about this property is that it does have a bigger frontage. So if we look here, 67 plus 87. So it has 150 feet of frontage, which would make it easier to create some parking here. And the slope is perfect. I thought this property was perfect for having a small parking lot that, fits a few cars for car top access and a small, not a big ramp, but just a way to get in the water with a canoe or a small rowboat or a small, like literally some, whatever
Kayak,
vessel.
paddleboard, whatever you kind of.
Yeah, paddleboard, whatever vessel that's no more than like maybe 3 feet, because like my rowboat is about 3 feet wide. And I think anything bigger than that would be too much for this property because it would need a bigger trailer. But it's perfect. And I think even if open space moves forward with the Stump Cove, this property here is, I don't know if it's a buildable lot, but it can be an addition to Stump Cove if that comes to fruition. So I was going to talk with Open Space Committee last week when we had a meeting, but we didn't have quorum. I was there. So I'm going to bring it up again because the ideal process would be they would say, yes, this is a good property for rooftop vessel access to the lake. And then they would make the recommendation that, if Parks wants to have this property, they would go, yes, we make this recommendation to go to Parks, and then we can take it. Another interesting thing about this is that there are grants that from the state, and I know we have the issue with the dam, but they have talked extensively about the state pretty much coming in and clearing this up and leaving it ready for us. It's not even, it didn't even sound like the work would be Lunenburg's work. It would be them. And I think that's through the Wildlife and Fishery Division. So I wish I was coming to this meeting with, having talked with Open Space. But I think this property is great for, 3-4 cars, not even a ramp, just a in with the water, to the water. Small, like I don't think it would be good for anything wider than 3 feet. So the ramp can be designed for that. And, and if the residents in the area have concerns, we can at the same time develop a plan to have to make the street, to not be allowed parking on the street. So that way there's never overcrowding on the area. There'll be a way to address resident concern. So I think there's ways to do it. I don't think having Stump Cove should preclude us from exploring this property. As a side note, there is a lot of this property is being pretty much used by both neighbors. When I went there, there was like extensively, whatever the word is, and I can tell you, there's no 40 feet there that it's not taken. I think maybe the town property looks to have like maybe 5 feet. They have made that all, both sides have made that their property. So
And I think they're on that though, right? I believe that one of the residents went to select board looking for permission for something in the last couple of weeks, and it sounded like they were aware of some of that and
So,
aware of it.
yeah, so this house here, where is number 5, that house is for sale, and or it was sold, is under agreement. And so it happens, their septic tank is in town property. And there was a fence that's probably halfway into this property, a red fence, that the current owner says that when he bought the fence was there, then he received a letter from the town, and he never removed the fence, and the fence is just there, and he built another fence. He said that his property was surveyed, but I don't think his property surveyed on both sides. This property definitely, if we do anything, it needs to be surveyed and marked. And I'm very sure there will be the other neighbors also using the property in ways they shouldn't. Like there was a dog leash attached, a rope around a tree, and a big dog bowl, a water bowl there. And it's definitely from this other neighbor. So I don't know if this is something we want to start the conversation when I go talk with open space. I don't know what, so my questions are, do we want to start exploring this? Do we want to keep deferring to open space for figuring out Stump Cove? And if the Stump Cove doesn't work, they are considering here. We want to wait for that. We want to start taking action. And if open space say, no, we don't want you to take action on this property, do we want to take action on our own? Because nothing stops us from doing that.
So
By the way, we only need a town meeting vote to give that property, to assign that property to us.
my answer to that is a yes. I think we should. I was on open space when this property first came up for discussion. And I never quite understood the slope. And if it was a few weeks ago, and I remember that house, when that house went up for sale and it went on to Realtor, I went on and I was looking, and they just so happened to have a picture from the lake at their house. So you could see a similar grade of the property next door. And I'm like, that's totally usable piece of land.
It's a perfect slope. I'm telling
I
you,
think
like
it's great. And
I walked and it's a perfect slope into the lake. It's like, we don't need to disturb the dirt. Like we don't even need a permit for that.
right. And there was the grant thing, the whatever that.
Wildlife and fishery.
Yeah. And because I remember having this discussion, and somebody said, if they come in and do the work, you then can't come in and turn that into a rectangular field. And I remember saying to them, that's not a large enough piece of property to do anything else with anyway. It would truly just be for access to the lake for rooftop type activities. Not even necessarily, I mean, I suppose if it had access to the lake, people could, I guess, go down and swim there, but I don't see that as a bathing beach. I see it as a
Right.
rooftop access. And there was discussion at one point, and I was scrolling through the map on my computer a little bit ago, that would be a good piece of land. And then you could actually, there's another piece of land, and I don't know if it's owned by the town. I don't remember what the deal was up the street. And the thought was, if there wasn't enough parking down at 51 Parmenter, they could put a pull off for a couple of small parks, small car parking area up the street. I have the minutes open right now from Open Space, trying to track that down.
Of course you do.
If I find anything, I'll let you know.
So, okay,
Is there a lake association type thing over there we have to be aware of, like in terms of public use and
so,
that kind of scenario?
okay, so Lake Shirley, yes and no. So,
Like, how do we navigate that? There is, how do we
Sure.
navigate that, I guess?
so Lake Shirley is not like Hickory Hills. And in a way that, and part of the problem is that they don't know who owned the lake. Like this is a man-made lake, like Hickory Hills. But the title was never cleared, like the land passed from one place to the other. And the town at some point did spend, north of $20,000 trying to figure out to clear, and they finally walked away from, and it was when Paula was on as the select board, part of the select board. And they just walked away as just too much. So what they have now is a voluntary association in which they do treat the lake. But not all the properties that participate on that. It's voluntary. And that's the only thing that exists as an organization there.
Okay. So we don't have to
And-
worry about fees or
No, I
anything
mean,
that way of.
we don't, no, as much as we do at Town Beach.
Okay.
Like, we own that property, and we're looking into take care of the weeds on our property, but part of that lake is in Leominster.
I guess the only other question I would have, or not a question, I guess concern would just be making sure that if we're pursuing this property, that I guess we want to know before we pursue it. I'd like to make sure I don't know the order of how this would get on, but like surveying and this guy's fence that's in the middle of the property and things like that. Like, are we going to assume this and then we find that it's surveyed and the property isn't what we thought it was?
Meaning what?
That the guy's fence is actually on his property if the fence is in the
Yeah,
middle of
That's been well documented already, that
the
it's,
already. Okay. All right.
yeah, in the town's all I don't know if the town's on top of the piece of property that's like to the northwest side of the property line, but the south side, they're absolutely,
Yeah,
they're,
it's pretty flagrant.
Yeah.
Northwest side of
It's-
the shed. Isn't the shed pretty close over there? Something, the shed.
Oh, yeah, I do trust Greg Roy with the survey, but
the first time that I went down there, in looking for it, I actually didn't, I thought I couldn't find it because it truly looks like people, like they're using it. So I thought they were private yards. I'm like, where is this piece of property? And that's when I realized that, oh, no, they're completely infringing over the property line. And most of this stuff that I'm seeing is actually on town property.
Yeah.
I think they have a plan for the fence right now to come down. But yeah, it was interesting. So I did, I as I'm sitting here opening minutes, I did come across something from December 15th of 2020 that starts to discuss it. And it says the committee discussed potential use of this 0.3 acre parcel. Property slopes away from the road, not particularly attractive from development, but could be developed. An interesting access point to the lake for canoes and kayaks, but there is not sufficient room for a boat dock, etc. Committee discussed parking. The property may be able to accommodate 3 to 4 cars, and there is potential for on-street parking. Lynn noted that the area is very residential and parking off-street may not be desirable to residents. Brandon pointed out that this may be a controversial access site as it is residential. We would have to take a measured approach and would have to involve the neighbors. Bob commented, so Bob Pease from Conservation commented that it may be appropriate for this property to be under the jurisdiction of parks. He suggested the committee look into the property identified as 0 Lake Shirley Reservoir, which is 3.3 acres. That's Stump Cove. 0 Lake Shirley Reservoir off Fire Road 12 is what Stump Cove is. You know, I'm gonna sort of throw some stuff out there that I probably am gonna regret saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Don't.
No, hold on a second. So I have always looked at this Parmenter and thought it would be a usable piece of land. When you go over to Stump Cove, I believe from conversations that I've had in the past with various people, that part of the reason that Stump Cove is attractive to some people in town is that it would actually open up Lake Shirley for snowmobiling, because there is a piece of property west of Stump Cove that I believe is already being they're already using it for snowmobiling. So having that whole area be accessible, while I'm supportive of having as many opportunities for recreation as we can, that's fine to have Stump Cove. I don't think it's the appropriate spot for rooftop. I think it's the appropriate spot for, say, snowmobiling. I think Parmenter is the appropriate spot for a rooftop park versus Stump Cove, which is difficult to get in and out of. And with 40 feet of lake frontage, I don't think that would be a difficult task if we needed to put in a boat dock for better water access. I don't think that would be a difficult feat. I also don't think
Here on Parmenter,
yeah,
I'm telling you, you don't need it. Like,
yeah,
you don't
we
need.
may not need it. We may not need it. And
Because
I'm not,
and by not having a dock, you would prevent from getting really big vessels, because near the edge is short, it's shallow.
right.
It's
How popular it would be, nobody knows. You know, I
well,
certainly
I think, we can take care of the residents, but like, I think,
yeah.
making it that there is no street parking in the area will help. And, I think that would help a lot. And I know of other properties there are like around the Nashua River. We know all about that lunch by off 119. There's 2 big boat lunch there. But as you go into Pepperell, there's some smaller ones, because that whole area, and you literally drive up. It's 3 cars the most that can fit there, and it's like, but it is a space that people can use, and it's actually more hidden than this. It's right in the middle of the woods, kind of funny. But okay, so the questions are: 1, do we want to wait for open space to get to this property? Yes or no?
I say we express interest in it. And, I don't know what their timeline is on doing anything with any of these properties and making any recommendations. So, it's hard for me to answer that question. If their timeline is 6 months and they're planning on bringing something to annual town meeting, then I would say we should start with pursuing it through open space and see where that gets us. If it's not going anywhere with open space, or open space has a longer timeline, we tend to like the shorter timelines on this committee. So, maybe we pursue it on our own.
Well, we've been talking about this. I've been writing the open space for close to a year now. And we've been, and these things take time. I understand. Well, it is of my opinion that regardless of Stump Cove, this is a property that will be of interest for a park. That's my opinion.
That's my opinion as well.
How about you, Chris?
I would say I'm muted, right?
You're
Oh,
not
no, I'm not
muted.
muted. Okay, I thought I was still muted. Yeah, I think we should express interest in it. I just, and then obviously policies and procedures and all that kind of stuff to follow, but
Okay.
I think it's
So-
useful, a useful property. It's been a while since I've driven over there. That was trying to remember the slope, I guess, but you obviously just been there, so if it's workable and we can create parking easily without a lot of investment, I'm all for it. I think it's a great asset for folks that provide some water access. Yeah, I think Marshall Pond, if we is another spot to that nice water access for that type of boat will be good down the line once it's kind of cleaned up more and so
Oh.
forth. But this is the other side of town that gives some good good access to lakefront there. So
All right, so I'm gonna bring this to open space and say we're interested in pursuing this, and we would like their support, right? And we believe this property can be complementary to Stump Cove, one way or the other. I don't think this is something we need to wait, because it's the small property. We don't believe it's going to be a lot of work and to get to where we wanted to be. So okay. All right, so I'll deliver the message and see what they have to say. They may say, we think you should wait, then I'll bring that back.
Okay.
Okay. All right, appreciate that. All right, next item on the agenda is naming of facilities, policy creation discussion.
Hey,
Take it over. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing.
So we've actually had a brief discussion about this in the past, and we just said we'd deal with it in the future. And I think that time is coming as we're moving forward with, as we're moving forward with Marshall, and we have some stuff going on with McNally that could potentially, to be clear, I'm not looking to change the name of McNally, but sometimes like Marshall Park has multiple fields within the park, and those all have, or I shouldn't say all have a name, but Powell Field, for example, has a name. So it's Powell Field at Marshall Park. We could run into the same thing. We have McNally Park, McNally Field. If a T-ball field goes in there, maybe somebody wants it named. I think it's time that we try to start creating a policy. The town as a whole doesn't have a policy. The school committee has their policy that I'm actually going to pull up. Let's see. Where did it go? Hold on. I almost tried to go to Google because that's where I'm used to going. Here it is. Let me get it open and share my screen. I'm always afraid I'm going to share something that I shouldn't.
That would be me.
That's totally me. All right, so did that come up?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the school's policy. And they're, obviously they've vetted their policy through their policy committee. It went through most likely through their legal. It went in front of the school committee. They did update it in 2018 because I think they realized that they had some areas that needed to be sort of tightened up a little bit. So, I'll just, briefly, it goes from the Lunenburg School Committee may choose to name or dedicate an appropriate area to honor an exceptional community member or Lunenburg Public School staff member who has shown exceptional dedication to our school system, embodied excellence in education, and contributed not only to local public education, but at a state or national level as well. And most of them that I looked up as I did my research, actually had that as something, very similar. It goes on to say what they believe in the naming of a new facility or part of an existing facility is a matter that requires careful consideration from the local community. Buildings that are currently named will stay as such for the duration of that building's existence, except in extraordinary circumstances where new facts of a negative nature are brought forward, documented and verified by the school committee. This policy applies only to new facilities and appropriate areas in existing facilities and grounds. In all instances, a unanimous vote of the school committee is required. So then it goes on about the criteria of a facility may be named after geographical location. A facility or space will be considered to be named after a person 5 years posthumously. I can never say that. Posthumously, except under extraordinary circumstances as determined by the school committee. So they gave themselves some leeway there in case they wanted to do it before that 5 years. The school committee will make determinations on a case-by-case basis and will include such factors as, but not exclusive to, moral character, leadership, volunteerism, community contribution, and historical significance. Appropriate signage and or plaque with the name and other information commemorating the individual's contribution must be approved unanimously by the school committee prior to the creation or subsequent installation. The naming of a school facility, area, and or ground shall be facilitated by the school principal, recommended through the school council of each school. The recommendation with its supporting reasons will be brought to the superintendent. So that's theirs. There's parts of this that I like. I actually think I like all of it. I guess I'm looking for feedback from you guys. Because I'm
You
happy.
put more documents there. Is there
I
a
did.
different-
I did. I put let me see if I can. How do I share those? Am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did so this was, I don't remember which town this came from. But these were, I just wanted to put them all up there because I went and researched them, I might as well. And this group, this was actually a park, or which this one might have been a Connecticut. This might have been a Bridgeport or something, Connecticut. They go so far there as to they name points of entry, walkways, trails, room or patios within a town-owned building, rec facilities such as group
That
picnic
makes
centers.
sense,
It does. Oh, it absolutely makes sense. And I think
especially in the park.
yeah, so there's definitely sections of each one that I definitely like. But I think that I think that the school committees was a good starting point because I do believe, and this is hard, right? Because it would be up to a committee of 5 members to decide on whether somebody is worthy, for lack of a better word, of having a facility named after them. And I think that's a difficult task. Because you have, various opinions, and that's why unanimously is what the school committee went with. So I do like their criteria. I like that they have it all spelt out. And I do like their waiting period before they use that person to, name a facility after. But I do like a lot of these, in this one, the addition of the points of entry, the walkways, trails, rooms, patio.
Did they talk about benches?
They didn't talk about benches. Yeah, so, I think that I like little pieces of both of them. And this other sample here, oops, that's not what I wanted. Do I what, Anna?
Well, I was gonna say, do you wanna try to put one together that
Sure.
that
My question to you guys is, and I hope y'all didn't go and review every single one of these. Is there anything when you're thinking of naming a facility that jumps out to you that you right now, like just off the cuff, would want to have included in a policy like this?
Well, one thing That's interesting, because I read all those, I read the grant information, right? As regards to regarding the dog park, they did have some clauses there regarding naming of the facility. And I think you do get to acknowledge that they paid. And then I think about Paul Field, which was named, I think they donated the whole thing. So I actually think financial contribution to the facility should be taken into consideration. And we can put a threshold on that. And this is, I'm talking off the cuff without thinking it through, so forgive me. But we see a lot of that in universities, right? Someone comes and gives them a few $1 million to build a building, and you build that building, you name the building after them. Sometimes you name it.
Then you
What?
unname the building, then you unname the building when you find out that they weren't who you
No,
thought they
that's
were.
right.
No, like
The
that's
vetting,
ultimately what
vetting
happens
process
with
is what
that.
comes to, the vetting process, what comes to my mind, just making sure that if we are deciding to,
Right.
you know,
So I think,
name something after somebody, that it's been, it's been vetted, vetted well. One comment I'd make too, I know just impact, and I don't think they have necessarily plans and so forth for this, but I know it's been a topic of discussion around, like with the skate park. I think if they came up with a naming donation, that's going to be on park land. So I don't know if we want to rope them in at some point to
So I'm,
discussion if they've had thoughts on things like that. But if, given that the timeline would be such that likely they would be in place before anything else is in place within Marshall, that we're kind of including them in the discussion a little bit.
well, Chris,
Case
we did,
that's part of the process for.
I think we have communicated with Anthony about it, right, Karen?
we have, I don't know,
I don't know if they have a naming person. Like, I mean, I haven't heard that. I
They
think
do
that would
have
be
a
out there if
naming. They do. And that's part of what I was suggesting. I did have them a little bit in mind about financial contribution, because you can name, you can like, and anyway, I think we need to have a financial piece to allow for someone such as the Paul did and came, they're willing to build a field. That's a pretty significant donation, and there is a vetting process, but I think that should be included. You shouldn't let go of the vetting process.
all right, so I'll work on putting something together, a mix of things. And so like, if you guys think of anything, either bring it to the next meeting or, just
You can
throw
send
it
your
out there.
emails.
And I'll try to incorporate them. I wouldn't expect what I put together to be the final draft. I think that putting something together and then bringing it forward to, and requesting that town manager ask town council to review it the same way we did with the dog policy, will be important. And go from there. But I think that this is something that, once we have in place, even if we don't have something imminent that needs to be named, we can certainly just have it in our pocket for when it comes up. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel when it does come around. So yes, that's
yeah.
my feel on that.
Okay. I'll read some of those policies, and if something else pops in, I'll let
Yeah, and
you
I'm
know.
gonna go through it again, because I mean, we want it to obviously pertain to the parks and,
Right.
so I'll definitely go through it again. I probably look up a few more. Again, this is, I always say this and people are like, but you're copying them. There's, if people have good policies that are working, especially ones that have been in place for a while, I don't think we need to come up with some brand new.
Copy and steal everything.
Yeah, well, I don't want to do that, but
No, there was an old, when I was in fundraising, there was an old acronym. It was good. Like an organization that kind of oversaw that type of job. It was called CASE, and it was like the fake acronym was copy and steal everything. Instead, like if you had a fundraising appeal that you liked, tweak it for yours and slap your school on it, and off
Gotcha.
you go. You know, like, but if something works and we like it, there's no reason not to, you know, make it ours and use it. There's no need
Agreed.
to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, especially because some of those policies have probably been tried and tested. And, you know, so I agree with Chris. All right, so we'll leave it that Karen will put something together for us. And
May not be, if I can, it's already November 15th. This is my busy season for my side hustle, so.
16th.
If I
It's
don't get
actually
it
the
done for
16th.
December- Oh, yeah, 16th. If
Day
I don't
later.
get it for December, I'll definitely be done for January.
okay. I'll keep that in the list and I'll prompt you again
Okay.
when it comes time. Okay, then other business that matters that may legally come before the board, not knowing the time of posting, correspondence, announcements, public, or board comment.
I
Do you
actually
have
would like
any?
to make a board comment.
Sure.
I want to acknowledge the passing of Cheryl Shaw. Cheryl passed away earlier last week after a brave battle with cancer. Cheryl worked as a lifeguard for many years down at our town beach. She was, for many years, I'd consider her Jen Nass's left-hand man in running things down there. She was quite an amazing woman. She was a nurse, and she was also a training officer with the National Disaster Medical System. And it was what she loved. She lived down near Wallace Park. So as the park was being built, she and her family were, you know, out there helping, and she was always great at providing information back to the commission, or if there was an issue, she'd send me, you know, an email. I think she was the one who actually reported one of our broken bubbles. So she was wonderful, and she's definitely going to be missed in the community. So I just didn't want to let a meeting go by without acknowledging all that she has done for the town, our community, our country. You know, and I don't know, maybe we will have a beach house at some point, or something over in the Wallace Park area that will be the Cheryl Shaw Memorial, whatever. But she was quite an amazing woman. So just wanted to acknowledge that tonight.
Thank you, Karen. Chris, do you have anything?
Not off the top of my head. I think I'm good.
Okay. Just quick recap, because I do that in meetings. The biggest thing that I have is I'm going to get in touch with the town manager to look over the warrant, see if the warrant that passed, see how we can how to move forward with that. And I'm going to pursue with open space about Parmenter Road. I think those are the two big things, and that's it. So thank you very much. And look at this, under 2-hour meeting. Hooray for us.
Yeah, awesome. So thank you. Thank you guys so
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye-bye.
So when are we meeting next month? That would be,
Yeah,
that'd be good.
we need to have a motion to adjourn.
oh yeah, we did
Okay.
that.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about when we're meeting next time. So theoretically, we would be meeting on the 21st. Does that work?
I don't, you know what, I don't really care any, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, I mean, we can do the 14th if that's a better day.
It doesn't, I can do whatever.
Chris, do you have a preference?
I think I think I'm open both nights, and I won't have basketball those on when I'm avoiding Wednesdays for coaching basketball. So,
Okay.
you know, maybe the 14th, just because it's
Yeah,
slightly less close to
Christmas.
holiday.
Yeah,
time.
okay. Let's plan it for the 14th.
You know, I don't know.
That was going to be my suggestion, because, well, as Karen mentioned,
They want to give you time to meet with town manager too, to know what we have for a game plan, because I assume the next meeting, we'd probably be talking a little bit more about RFP discussions and things like that too. So I want to be respectful of your timeline, and
No,
meeting
I
with town
think-
manager and so forth.
yeah, she's usually pretty good about scheduling meetings. Like if I ask, she tend to be available within a week time. So should we do the 14th? The 7th?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
I mean,
I will send over a request for a link right now. And I think that going forward, just to, because I mean, I've been now doing the meetings, the Zoom meetings for 2 years. This is the first time we've had a problem with a link. Actually, might be the second. I think when early on, I might have put the wrong link completely. But maybe I'll just stop putting it as a hyperlink, because that would solve every problem in the book.
I wouldn't. So within 2 years, 24 meetings, you had one.
No, I know,
issue.
I think if I just didn't put the link, then there's no, you know what I
Is there
mean?
just a second state that the link is nice because it's clickable for people, but just a simple statement of, on the agenda of, if you're having trouble with the link, go to zoom.com, whatever the Zoom.
Yeah, I can do that.
Zoom.com and enter this meeting code if
Okay.
you're having
I can
trouble
do
with a link, kind of deal. Because the vast majority of the time, the link actually works. For whatever reason, the hyperlink is going to an old meeting.
that. Yeah, and it's weird that it's doing that, so
So,
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried. I think we're good, Karen.
I always worry on it. It's what I do
but we
best.
can just put the main Zoom link with the meeting ID number and say use this to enter if you're having trouble with
Okay,
the link. I think we're good.
okay, I'll get it figured out.
Okay.
The
uh,
link, and yeah, great. I
Okay,
will
I'll
make
send.
a note
Okay, and I'll send an email to Dave and Pat, letting them know when's the next meeting.
Okay.
All right. Good night,
Maybe-
everyone.
Want a
Motion.
motion?
Oh, no,
Motion.
no motion.
Motion to adjourn at 8:50.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor, Chris?
Aye.
Karen?
Bye.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.